We're here and energized. Alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. You know what? I'm so alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic right now. We don't even practice right now. I've got fire in my veins. I'm not gonna let it go to waste. No early fairy, we don't even need that 100 faith. Minariko doesn't serve a challenge, surely. I'm not afraid of no bumper. Not when I have fire in my veins. Nice try. See? Never even afraid. Oof. That was a bad cap? Who cares? We don't need good caps. We win. That's all that matters. My faith isn't as high as it could be. Who cares about maximum faith? The only faith you need is the faith you have. I ain't afraid of no Hina. See, you can give me a slightly gross thing, I don't care. Not when I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. Bah. Nice Yuma LNN, by the way, Fammy. Who are the go? I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far. I feel like Yuma is the go, but you know, if you're the one playing as Yuma, you know, does that make you the go? So yeah, I can do bad lines on Ogane and I'll still let it just fine. Yeah, but we do every good line on Ogane. Exile doll, my beloved. See, why would I be afraid of Nina? Not when I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. We're doing Mystic Square Amoeba next. Ooh, nice, nice. Back in day, hello, General. First Brazil with PC98 LNN. I guess there aren't that many PC98 LNNers, so you gotta strive for that one yourself. You sure you don't want to do highly responsive to prayers though? Human. Let's file this stuff. Low Slant. Yeah, the Low Slant LNN is like the gotcha. It's like a gotcha game. You just gotta get the dice rolls. Oh, I had a good read. I just couldn't execute. Hydro, my beloved. Today is day. It is certainly a day. You know what? It's a Friday, and I'm off work, and that means... And you know what? It was the busiest work day of the month. Because Friday before Thanksgiving is always a busy, problematic busy day. But you know what? It went well. It was a long work day, but we're off now. Like now I got the weekend. That was a questionable line. But who cares if it's a questionable line when we're, again, alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic. More importantly, today's the day where I get to do more survival mode. Zekai. I'm curious to see. I am cautiously optimistic of how the long-term scaling of that mode's going to be. How the later days scale. So I'm having a blast with the early days of survival mode. So the question is, how's it going to scale? Oh, look at all those points on the right. How we don't need those. Not when I have fire in my veins. Man, Illusionary Waterfall is one of those spells you don't really think about. Like, you know, you're like, when you think about, like, problems in a run, but, like, it's one of those attacks where you gotta give it respect. And these spinning fairies. We love the spinning fairies. Okay, one more spinning fairy. Momiji, my beloved, and my behated. Weird how that works. Don't snail me. I should have would have had that line. I just needed a slightly smaller tap. That wasn't a tap. That was a hard press. As annoying as those spinning fairies are, I do like how they play, ultimately. Like, they're annoying on pace, for sure, because they can be stressful and they can do some cringe things, but I do like them. Especially that last set of 3. Because the fact that those last 3 are higher up makes them a little less, like, RNG, I feel. Like, it gives you a little bit extra time, which helps. But, like, it forces you to play a game where it's, like, you need to have... where it's, like, you kind of have a rough guidelines, like, you need to be moving to get to your destination so you can kill them quick enough. But there's so much... There's so much of, just trying to read. But it's not like it's super fast, so it gives you actually, like, fair reads. But it's clumpy at times, so you actually have to, like, really pay attention or else whoopsie-woo. Oh, too high in that line. Oop, what a disgusting line. Cannot believe you do this to me, Aya. Yeah, LNN got UFO hard 1cc. I feel like that's more of a, what you decide to dedicate your time into as a, getting bored of trying to grind the hard 1cc. It's okay, Aya. You can't keep me down today. I got fire in my veins. Fantasy Maze Wars suck. Well, the only one I've had to see so far is, And Then There Were None, right? Now, that wasn't annoying. That, like, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't like, oh boy, this is terrible. It wasn't a fun spell, though, that's for sure. Although, to be fair, most spells are painful in that, but, like... It was just kind of tedious and felt like a little RNG. But that's probably very specifically that one, just due to the nature of that and how it behaves. I think survival spells in Fancy May Wars is a not the is a awkward design choice. Like, I understand why they put them in there, but like, one of the biggest things about games like Fantasy Main Wars is a lot of it comes down to opponent has scary thing, kill them before they do scary thing. Or mitigate the scary thing as much as possible. Where it's like so much of the balancing of like how hard something is like is your ability to kill it. But in the case of a survival spell, you have no ability to kill it. It awkwardifies it up so much. That was I did not go left nearly early enough. Sanai mid, my beloved. Wait, Sanai's mid? No shot, bro. Oop, stay to the right. You know, all of my deaths so far have been intentional, just so I can have this specific faith amount going into Sanai. It was all pre-planned. Rest in peace, my faith, funny faith number. Don't run into the balls. Me when I'm explaining how to play dodgeball. I'll always talk about how much I like this spell. Like, just gameplay-wise, it's such a good design spell. This spell's got some weird quirks to it. And I don't like this one. Neat. Perfect slug. I love enemies that shoot at random intervals. My favorite Zune creation. Second favorite Zune creation. Third favorite. Right behind lasers and Hydro. Oop. Oop. Yeah, we throw. Hey, if you die at that early part, though, you don't have to transition into the Death Fairy, so... It was all a ruse. 469, boom. There's also we could try to manipulate our faith to get back to 469. Hi, Shoddy. Medoteco, the well-known hardest spell in the game. You know, I will say this to give reprieve to the like the small amount of people who actually complain about that spell, and actually like have struggled with Medoteco, is the fact that there is an awkward aspect in the re-aiming. Because like right when the lasers end, you want to like dash to like the side to like start rebaiting the next wave. But there's one lingering wave that will realign to you, and depending on how quickly you move, it can punish you. Like, there's a window that's not, like, easily followed, where if it lines up, if you're just barely too fast or too slow, that wave will line up, like, in the dead middle and just completely fuck you. No, that's one of those windows where I should probably memorize it, but I haven't. Like, I think there's a safe way to play where if you just play slow enough, you're just perfectly fine. Don't forget to kiss your Kaneko. Mwah. No tongue this time. Doing this next survival spells, if you don't know what's coming, then you just get fucked playing it blind. That's one of the reasons why I understand a lot of like for stuff like that, but like one of the reasons I love Labyrinth of Touhou so much is like 3 Peso has, like, all the information out. It's like, oh, here's literally, like, 3 Peso, the guy who made this game, literally has a collection in the games, and then transport to the wikis, usually, of, like, here's how this all works. Here are the enemies. Here's how they behave. Like, I've always felt like Labyrinth is almost like the type of game where it's like it's intended to play through with information and still be difficult. And still be very enjoyable and fun. I've always loved that. So I feel like a lot of games thrive in some difficulty off of just simply the unknown. Of like, oh, here's something. Well, you know, it's one thing I've complained about a lot with Trial of the 10 Kings, I think it is, which is a cool spell, I will always say, but it's just the amount of times there are things where it's like, you're going to, like, lose at this thing just because, like, the game almost forces it out of you. That was not a pretty line. That was a good micro. I don't do those that often. And that's not everyone's cup of tea, but one missed Kaneko, and it wasn't even to the final. Or known one. Good source. Yeah, Then There Will Be None is weird, and I don't like its design necessarily, but it's fairly good run, by the way. It's fairly generous in that it's not like it doesn't do that much, right? It's just damage. It kind of gives you a lot of, it gives you time. It's somewhat generous with the movement. You can bomb if you really want to clean up on it. And it's like, it's dangerous, but it's not, oops, I lose. I mean, there's probably situations where that could be the case, but depending on, like, what your game plan is. Time to do the Fantasy Mid Wars Challenge. If I lose, if a single character dies at any point, I have to restart back to the beginning. Not the beginning of the battle, but the beginning of the run. On Lunatic difficulty. This is the fair and balanced fun gameplay. Shizua, do you think you're gonna stop me? I'm not quite as alive, awake, and alert and enthusiastic as before, but I still am. Although I'm rambling now, which I wasn't when I was facing you last time, so I don't have as much fire in my veins. Oh, it's Jover. It's Shizua over. Back it up, we're washed. I capped Divine Virtues of Wind Gods, but I'm undefeated in Divine Virtues for today, but I'm only 50% on Falling Leaves of Madness. Proof that Shizua is the hardest boss in their game. About LNN easy for real. So, some have said that. You play any left in the left? What the fuck am I saying? You play any LNN the last couple days, Walrus? Checking up on you. No? Okay. Are you happy or sad because of that? You're on the survival. What is it like? Anyone on your team is alert enough SP to do it thrice? No constipated? Oof. Is that is being constipated better or worse than Lennon? You're saying to finish Jesus Sephiroth already? Do you say finish it as in like beat the game or like 100% the game? Or at the very least like beat like all the post-game shenanigans? 100%? Is Jesus Sephiroth worse or better to 100% than the Devil Decline was? So I remember you talking about how that was a pain in the ass. Better? Okay. Well, I'm glad you're doing better, Walrus, but I hope you do even better. From that bumpers in your crop. I haven't actually died to a bumper crop yet today. Now, I've literally only done it twice, so the sample size isn't that large, but it can't come out. That's generally how constipation can work. Ever mentioned the time I was constipated for 3 days off of pumpkin seeds? It's a bit more sane. How much is a bit? Because a bit is like kind of vague and broad and subjective. Sonic for content? You're right. The best content I could make is not getting an LNN. Hello, chicken butt. Why are you green? I didn't see you at first because you're green. I thought you were game glitcher. Why the fuck are you green? 5 to 6, you're saying? You're green? You're currently green on my screen. You're a different shade of green than Game Glitcher is, but you're currently green for me. Rotate your colors every stream on purpose. That throws me off when I see people with different colors. What 8th bite? I mean, I just had the 7 miss earlier. I did the thing that Chicken Butt wanted, which is I played out a run. I was like, you know what? I was alive, awake, and enthusiastic. I had fire in my veins, and I was like, I'll play out a run. And it was solid. I had 1 miss on Chronico, and it wasn't her final, it was the Taurus. You're usually some, like, not quite orange, but, like, reddish-orange, usually. Something in that line. Maroonish, probably. You stand out because your color, because, like, I never see anyone else with that color. Except occasionally Kageyama, because I don't believe he has a color. Double 99 boss over, aren't you? That's one thing that makes a late game, at least, I didn't do, like, the super late game of Labby 2, but a Labby 1. Is because you reach this awkward point where it's, like, eventually you get to the point where you're one-shotting all, like, one-turning all the floor 30 bosses. Hitbox moment. Oh, hitbox moment! But, like, before you get to that point, you get to this really weird situation where it's, like, you can farm for skill points on, like, floor, I think it's 27, which is really good, but, like, the XP's not that great. Like, you really want to farm the floor 30 for XP, but it's such a pain. Did Labby stream when? I mean, I effectively 100%ed Labby 1 on stream. Right? Like, I beat Winner. Like, literally the only thing you can do past that, I believe, is beat Winner 255 times, because that's when he stops scaling. Because every time you beat him, he gets stronger. So, I technically didn't complete the compendium, just because, like, the endgame bosses have percent-based drops, and I didn't get all of them. So I could go back and fight them again, but, like, I know I can beat them all. That was general Pokemon, yeah. I think that's the number. That's according to the wiki site. Because every time you beat him, like, most of the stats, you get, like, a small, like, flat boost and a small percentage boost. Also, the number of times he uses certain skills can increase. And it's kind of one of those things where it's, like, set up to, like, keep endlessly scaling. But he caps it off at that point. What I'm genuinely curious about is if anyone's ever actually, like, not cheated done that. I would not be surprised if someone's insane enough to do that, but that's that was a little sketch. But, like, it's, like, the first few is probably, like, not that bad to, like, grind for. You could probably do those pretty well, especially with a good team. But, like, dude, once you get to 100, it's like there's nothing else that's going to give you good XP. It's just, it would be, like, the biggest pain in the ass ever to, like, scale at that point, and it only gets worse. Especially because he scales flat number and percent base. At least with his, like, offenses. Labby 2 post-game kind of has a pseudo-similar weird thing, where there's just a lot of, like, those fights where it's like, oh, here's the super high-level version that's, like, 6 times the level of all the previous fights. Have fun grinding for, you know, the dozens of hours to get there. And I like the Infinity Corridor, but, like, after a little, like, the chaining element of the Infinity Corridor kind of makes it a lot, like, so much more tedious than I feel like it should be. And the fact that you have to get 640 floors into it to get the end result. You're not doing enhanced full power dragon god. I know, because it's like the base like full power dragon god, right, is like 2,000, right? Because there's like the enhance, like there's like the sword. I forget the name of the sword, and the like the regular full power dragon god. They're like 2,000-ish. It's like that's grindy, but like that's fine. But like the fact that they're like, oh yeah, here's they level 12,000. You know, like 6 times the level. It's sanity quarter grinding to 12,800. Yeah, but like 640, right, is like the one where it, like, that's like the limit to like what really, where it's like that's kind of where you've done everything that isn't like, see how deep it goes. What are the bosses past that, by the way? Because like there's a special fight at like 640, right? What happens to the bosses after that? Because like every 10 floors is like one of the shadow characters, right? What happens after like the 640 part? Dory, Labby, try any year now. Cope and see. Did you not do that weird shit? Me to my wife Dotoria when she tries to steal my ass phone while I'm sleeping. Around 5 hours. Oh. He's Hollow Rachi Puff like 2.5k. Yeah, that's like. I'm sure a lot of bosses are doable, like, a lot earlier than like, a lot of those, like, bosses are, like, sort of cheesable to some way. It's kind of the nature of them, right? Like, you can do some shenanigans. Never see her ass, but of course. See, you look at there right on screen. We're sworn friends. She would never do such a thing. Do you love Notori enough in order? This is the quote for getting. This is the line for determining to get married to Notori. Do you love her enough that you will trust your ass to be unguarded when you go to sleep at night? And also, are you willing to spend a half of your food expenses on cucumbers? Unless it's impossible. Jacob, are you the one that complains about Medoteco sometimes? She's so capitalicious. Yes. See, you missed it early because when I was doing Kaneko earlier. I shouldn't talk during Momiji. Yeah. Bad line. She stayed low and gave me some bad lines. Rippers. But I was saying on my run against Kaneko earlier, Snail, that wasn't even necessarily the Snail's doing. That was, well, I mean, the Snail kind of, like, forced me to like, a certain position, but that was also just, like, a gross line, and I didn't play through it. But I was bailing you out. Because I'm like, because, like, I didn't die to it. I said there, you know what, there's an aspect of this where I feel like people don't know what they're looking for. They don't see that there is kind of a problem on Medoteco sometimes. Like, there's a window of time where it's actually like an awkward attack. Like, it's not really that much of an issue, and it shouldn't be too bad, but, like, there is a... How's Maid Wars going? I like the game a lot. Like, generally, when it comes down to, you know, SRPG, as it's called, which I think is a dumbass fucking term, but... You know, XCOM, Enemy Within, and XCOM 2 will kind of always be my goats, but... This game's right there. Like, this, like, it's a, like... My biggest complaint with it is, honestly, just the alt paths are really... I don't like that as a mechanic. I find that really cringe, but... Like, gameplay-wise, there's a lot I really like about it. There's a lot I think it does in that type of genre that it does really well. That's Superior's one got one here. Are you talking about Evil Eye Sigma? You post the eye. You post like an eye icon. Is that a reference to the Evil Eye Sigma? That basically one miss to it. I hope I don't get a one miss to it, but you just never know. Ugh. You're looking for gimmicks? Well, it depends on what your gimmick is. How familiar are you with SRPGs as a whole? You know, is your only experience like a single Fire Emblem game, or none at all? Spells are free, yeah. Debatably, the hardest boss in the game is actually well known for being free. Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue, and I think I like the basis of the dialogue in the game, but like I'm not like hyper invested in the story. I think what they do to it is cool. And I think there's a lot of good takes on the. I think it does. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's based off Super Robot Wars, so I give Super Robot Wars a lot of credit for it. I was actually hard when some people say it's one of the easier LNNs. Well, I think there's a few things that does this. First of all, I think early game difficulty kind of skews this perception a lot, right? Where because Moth has one of the harder early games in the series, right? I'm not gonna say hardest. It's not true. But, like, it has one of the harder early games, right? And that kind of, like, I think bounces off people a lot. Because, like, you know, when you think of difficulty, it's like, okay, you know, Bumper Crop is what is the worst early game? Touhou 20, I think people usually refer to. But, like, I'm not super familiar with 20 at this point. And it's also pretty new. But even outside of that, usually, I believe UFO and LOL-K are probably the worst ones. Some people might debate some others, right? Theoretically, there's a world where DDC has, like, the worst, because Kagero, if you count Stage 3 in that regard, but I think Stage 1, too. Yeah, because LOL-K has, like, probably the hardest Stage 1 in the series, probably the hardest Stage 2, at the very least hardest Stage 2 boss. And, Doremi. Stage 3's not that bad, but, like, Doremi Nog 1 is cringe. Yeah, well, DDC Stage 1 is fine, and DDC Stage 2, in my opinion, is, like, free. I think that Sekibanki might be the easiest Stage 2 boss. It's a little debatable. If she's not number 1, she's, like, number 2. But LOL-K has a brutal early game, and UFOs is also really rough. Like, UFO, I believe, is usually regarded as the second worst. Again, Touhou 20 is now out, and that's probably up there, but, like, pricing question. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I remember fighting Parsi, and, like, talking about this, and, like, some people were like, is Parsi the easiest? I'm like, I don't know, Parsi's not bad at all, but, like, Sekibanki is... Like, Sekibanki and Parsi are neck and neck. Like, you could give it to either or, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Like, the point is, that Sekibanki is one of the easier ones. Ringo Fire. I like a lot of Ringo spells, like spell-wise. They're painful as fuck. Ringo Dorminon, one of the hard parts of LoL K. Yeah, and PDH. Dorminon, well, the thing is like non 2 is painful, but it's not non 1 painful. Dorminon was free. Remember? True. Someone came in and said they solved it. And UFO is just a very consistently, like, not like, oh, this is like aggro levels of bad, but it's such a consistent hard thing. Like, stage 1 is not, I mean, stage 1s aren't usually that bad, and it doesn't have the RNG fest necessarily that, like, Yamame might have, or that Minariko has, but, you know, never underestimate Nazarin's spell 1. Stage 2 is challenging. Kogasa, probably the second or third hardest Stage 2 boss in the market. Again, at least before Touhou 20, she probably would have been the hardest if it wasn't for Ringo. But, like, outside of Ringo, she's probably the hardest. And then that Stage 3, which Stage 3 is I usually kind of, like, mark as, like, at some point in there, it's the end of the early game. And that Stage 3 is, it's not like it's no Kagero, but again, it's a rough Stage 3. It's a hard one. But anyway, that was a massive side tangent. The thing is, a lot of this game's difficulty, I feel, comes from its, like, early game. And it's just absolutely god-awful, painful early game. And a lot of people tend to, like, overlook that when ranking, because a lot of people, I feel like, are like, what's the books? Where's my PDH, right? And you have Peerless Wind God in this, which is a brutal attack. But there's nothing quite to that elite tier. Like, there's a lot of hard attacks. But, like, you know, Momiji's really hard, but she doesn't stand out. Stage 4 also is big ass pain. Yeah, people often, like, look at this game and be like, oh, it's Stage 4, and I think they tend to overlook a lot of other things. Also, Mountain of Faith is one of the more popular games, especially amongst, like, lunatic players. And so, even if it's, like, ranking-wise, it's, you know, it's generally an above-average LNN, difficulty-wise, I think is the fair way to put it. Like, it's a little above average on the harder side. But it also is one of the most played, and so it actually has, like, it's one of the most LNNs. It's, like, top 3, I think, most LNNs of any Touhou game. So I think that also gives it a bit of a line. Also, it's incredibly short. I think it's the shortest or second shortest Windows game. I think it's slightly shorter than USD, so I think it's the shortest, but... And so that's the thing. I think that's another thing that people look at when it's like, you know, Moth is Moth. You know, it's not that bad. I think there are a lot of sneaky parts. I think there's a lot of sneakiness in Moth, that like sneaky difficult parts that just get overlooked. Moth is the USD of modern games. No, I thought Touhou 20 was the USD of modern games. Calling Moth a modern game when this fucking game came out, what, like 18 years ago? LNN would be considered the most average difficulty-wise. That's a little hard to say because it's a bit subjective, and also like shot types, right? Like shot types do vary things. Average difficulty-wise, that's a hard question. What game would probably rank? I think just trying to rank a game on average is an interesting question. Oh, Imperishable Knight from you heard? I feel like Imperishable Knight's really high roll, low roll based on shot types. So I feel like I guess Imperishable Knight's probably a fair put. I just feel like Imperishable Knight is just such a game oriented around a couple like three spots effectively. But I guess a lot of games tend to play like that at the end of the day, so that's not too much. I'm just not that familiar with Imperishable Knight. Like my memory of it is just as one of the easier games. But I don't like unless you're playing one of the bad shots. But Imperishable Knight's probably Subterranean Animism is probably close to that middle line. Like, it's probably slightly on the harder edge, but that one's probably a fair middle play. Like, good shot type Subterranean is probably one of those, like, just on the slightly more challenging aspect of, feels the least difficult LNN to get. Well, the answer would be either something in Touhou 19, or if we want to ignore Touhou, it'd be something in Touhou 19. If you want to ignore that, then it would be something in Great Fairy Wars. And if you want to ignore that, it's probably Best Shot Wily Beast. Again, it's one of those little subjective things, but probably like Best Shot Wily, like Strongest Shot Wily Beast. Is even the best shot in 17. I'm not that familiar. I want to say a Yomu shot, but I don't actually know for sure. Because there's like 9 shot types or something in that game, I think. Like, Best Shot Wily Beast is probably like Wily Beast is probably up there, and if you want to go past Wily Beast, you're like outside of that. You're I mean, okay. Best Shot DDC, right? Reimu A, Sakura A DDC is broken, right? Like, but like I kind of feel like those are ones like kind of anomalies. I don't know how much I'm like looking at that for sure, right? The Yomu's ass, and the other two are good. I've heard and I've like seen people talk about the Wily Beast shots, but I'm not super familiar with the differences in the especially the differences in the shots. Like, I know a bit of the difficulty, like, in the game in general, but, like, shot differences in Wily Beast, I have, like, very little familiarity with. But, like, if you want to ignore Best Shot DDC, then outside of Wily Beast, some of the best shots in 10 Desires are up there. Technically, I think Touhou 2 falls somewhere in that easier category. It's just not a really played game. Some of the better shots in Hidden Star are generally on the easier list, but they're definitely not, like, I don't think top of the top. Well, some of the strongest shots in Hidden Star are definitely up there. Like the hardest shots in Hidden Star are definitely not close to this conversation. They're definitely notable notches down, but not that far down. I think Shirno sucks. Well, that may be true. There's a vast difference between Shirno, there's a vast difference between Shirno Winter and Shirno Fall versus Shirno Spring and Shirno Summer. Like, I think like, Eye of Fall is one of the easier ones. Excuse me. Yeah, if you want to go, like, traditional LNN, like, technically, Great Fairy Wars is going to be, like, the easiest category. Versus LNN is actual dog shit, yeah. But one thing that carries a lot of the harder, like, a lot of the harder shot types in Hidden Star to being, like, middle-ish tier is the Okina. And that's one thing that makes, like, a lot of the Winter and Fall specifically some of the easier ones is you're removing a massive wall. Excuse me. Yeah, something in my throat. It's itching the back of my throat. I need water. I've playing Touhou for almost an hour and I haven't taken a water break? Why didn't you guys remind me? Oh, Mike. Is Geo Spring like a Damascus? No, real men use Rainbow Spring. So much better. PCBs on the easier end, but I don't think any of the PCBs are quite to the level of a lot of the other, potential easiest shots. Like, I think even whatever the good Sakuya shot type is still a tier ahead of some of the other really good shot types. Oh, I stepped too far to it. People say PCB is hard for some reason. PCB, I generally feel like I see it ranked as, like if you take, like, the easiest game, like, if you rank them from, like, easiest to, like, hardest, like, it's usually, like, I feel like a tier above, like, the easiest, like, shots and the easiest games. Like, I've always, like, generally seen it. It varies a bit based on, like, shot type, right? Like, Marissa, like, B, I think it is like, the worst. Where, like, it's, like, they all range from, like, just a notch above, like, the bottom to, like, close to, like, the top of, like, the low tier. Yeah, right back. I'm back. PCB has a number of, like, has a handful of, like, trickier spots, but it's just not quite what a number of things is. But one of the things about PCB to give it an edge over some others is it just does, like, it has those few threats. Like, something like Wily Beast may have, like, a bit more consistency at times, but it doesn't have the threats that stand out as much as PCB does. Because, like, PCB Stage 3 is, you know, raises an eyebrow as it has some problems. Can have some problems, especially shot-type dependent. Lily White is actually pretty notable. Lily White is a major threat. The Prism Rivers can be threatening, a little shot-type dependent. Yomu has her first spell and her final that are a bit noteworthy. And then Spam exists. Also, worth noting, a thing with a number of these games is, Himentoko is really, is definitely a really notable early game attack. Lotus Land is subterranean animism tier. I think that Lotus Land is like... Lotus Land should just have its own tier. Of like, how do we fucking rank this game, bro? Like, it shouldn't have its own tier above or below any other tier. It should just be, like, horizontal. Like, you're making a tier list, and then you just put it to the side. Also, see Lotus Land. But again, the thing I mentioned earlier, the hard thing about ranking games is just who do you... is, like, shot types vary games so much, right? Like, obviously, DDC is the biggest, like, note. Like, most noteworthy thing of all of them, but, like, shot types can vary games so much. And so many games have their, like, weird aspect, have, like, a weird aspect to them that makes them, like, really weird to, like, if you're trying to rank them difficulty-wise. Well, two of the most notable candidates are obviously Udolig and Great Fairy Wars. But they're not the only ones. Imperishable Night also kind of stands out a lot in this category, too. Of it being really weird to... Hey! To talk about. It's a really bad early game. Yeah, Mop is really weird, because, like, everyone I hear talk about it is like, oh, Mop is definitely an above average difficulty game. You know, it's not high tier, but it's definitely, like, up there. And then, like, sometimes you just see rankings that, like, don't quite follow that. But, like, every time I hear people talk about Mop, it's always like, yeah, it's one of the harder ones that's not, like, really hard. It's not one of those that's like, oh, that's, like, a high-tier LNN. Like, it's on, like, the upper end of mid-tier. A little shot-type dependent. Definitely a little shot-type dependent. But, the shot types vary in this game, but I think the shot types are not that, like... There's not, like, that drastic of a difference. So there are TWC and no resets. That's probably a fairly good way to put it. What I'm also interested, too, like, a small interesting thing is, like, I wonder who are the ones that are, like, how many people are the ones actually, like, ranking these? Where's Reimu C currently on the ranking in Subterranean? A lot of meetings where you go flashlight to your face for 2 hours. Same as Reimu. Are you kidding me? Like, Reimu C is not the worst shot type in Subterranean. That, like, I'm not gonna argue it's that. But, like, there's no way that Reimu C is a better shot type that, or is the same field as Reimu A. At the barest of bare minimums, and this is a stretch, it's like Reimu C is definitely a lot trickier to play. Like, Reimu A kind of has, like, a weird issue with its, Satori, but also kind of not really. Okay, one thing that does help Reimu C out is, I think she has the easiest Satori. Right? Like, I think 2 of them have safe spots. So that is one thing that definitely helps Satori out. But, like, one thing to look, like, I think one of the biggest things about Reimu C is just look at fucking UNR and Petaflare. Like, holy shit, man. I also think, like, compare Catswalks if you're doing that, but, like, that's kind of, like, a controversial field to talk about. So let's just compare UNR and Petaflare. Specifically Petaflare, dude. Reimu C's Petaflare is fucking dog shit compared to Reimu A's, I believe. Of course, like, Marissa C exists, so, like, I'm not trying to claim that Reimu C is the worst shot in the game by any means. But I think it definitely should be, like, ranked at least, like, similarly to Reimu B. It definitely should not be neck and neck with Reimu A, though. And person to bring Reimu C to a no reset turn, you're probably not freaking fumbling tilt jet. Yeah, but it's not necessarily about that. It's just like if you're simply like looking at a paper, I feel like it's really like, how do you put Reimu A necessarily next to Reimu C unless you're secretly filled with big needle propagandists? Which we all know the scene is filled with needle propagandists, dude. Always remember, always stand out. This is potentially the best. That's such a... Do I need to give the frickin' Allen argument with Petaflare? Like, if you want to tell me that Reimu C is the second or third best, I could see that. But there's no fucking way I would agree. I would say, unless we have a... unless we can find a mountain of results to back it up, I don't see how you can put it next to Reimu A. And just say, oh, it's based on potential. What is this, fucking Smash rankings? I'm gonna rank this character really high. This character has a lot of untapped potential. It's just the potential is really high with this character. I fucking love Exile, though. I'm paying attention. I have a 6 out of 12 LNN set. Well, Altair is also, like, a fucking machine with subterranean animism, so, like... Rainbow A definitely has a couple problems, but, like, it's particularly Satori, but I think it's just how much you, like, credit that versus what she does well. Or what she... I guess it's a lot more of what she doesn't do bad. Oop. To lock Rainbow A mains in a dungeon, build a LNN with Rainbow C. Or better yet, Rainbow B. Or, you know what? You know what? I'll find common ground here. Marissa C. Marissa C is also fine. I'll tolerate that one. What am I doing? I'm paying a lot of attention. See its best shot. Marissa A players on their way to try to, you know, be like, oh fuck, this popcorn is so bad, when they don't realize that they have literally the world's fucking freest cat's walk, dude. I just want to say, after spending like 5 million hours practicing cat's walk and then doing fucking Reimu A, you just realize how fucking free Reimu A's cat's walk is. Holy shit. So many people dislike Yukari. I hate Yukari. She's an ugly hag. She makes me so mad. No, I just always go on big needle propaganda, right? Okay, I'm a homing preacher, and I don't succumb to big needle propaganda. And you know, Yukari is effectively big needle propaganda. Oh, but guys, my Black Death Butterfly. Oh my gosh, guys, I can't read this Black Death Butterfly. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, it's a good, you know, my border of life and death is kind of like, is just a complete safe spot, but you know, but my Black Death Butterfly, guys, us needle players, we're so victimized by our own game. Oh my god. I love having fun just doing shit like that. I love exaggerating arguments, just because it's funny. Play Marissa A on third matches to Aura Farm. Marissa A is, I'll give it respect. If that's actually... Listen, if you're not out here going into the TRS Discord and typing, dude, Pyros Wind God's actually free, then, like, you know, don't come at me. It's cool, but this story's absolute dog shit. You know what the thing though, chicken butt is? Have you tried like getting good? Dude, I can't handle Cat's Walk. It's so brutal. How about you read it, and then you dodge? Can't get out of that GG. Yeah, it's the ultimate play. Have you ever thought about like routing it out? Hello? Have you thought about like practicing and like learning the attacks? Oh, what? Head of Flare's rough? Have you ever thought about like trying to get good? Cat's Walk is readable and breedable. Don't ignore that part too. Cat's Walk is very readable, although I'd argue that most attacks tend to be quote-unquote readable. It's just like, what's your definition? a big issue with no reset like rankings, and like it's inevitable. Like there's literally like not much of a way to fix it per se. Oops, is me when I throw. Hello, Hobbs. Hope you're doing well. Isekai survival mode. Yeah, it's they added their roguelike mode, which in game is just Isekai survival mode. They added that like a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, and I was finishing up Ace Attorney, and I was like, I'm gonna play it, and I started on Monday, and it's really fucking good, at least so far. What I was talking about with no reset runs is like something like the existence of whatchamacallit. The existence of bumper crop is just gonna make no reset runs in this just a nightmare to rank. Curious? Well, if you don't want to stick around till later, you could just watch what I did on Monday. It was really fun. It's it's effectively a survival mode with like roguelike elements. Pretty cool. Mop is a lot harder than metrics say. I think a lot of that is skewed just kind of with the bumper crop issue, right? Okay, so scoring should have dynamic difficulty calculation based on the bullet pattern RNG. Something from the AI. Dude, my face when I have a really good run, but the game gave me a relatively easier Peerless Wind God, so my score gets tanked. Dude, that'd be the worst possible thing you could ever do. Actually, no. What should actually happen is two people should play a run and then feed it into like ChatGPT and like, which one would you rank as better? Oh no! I think better idea. Speaking of bumper crop, hello. Me when I play my daily roulettes. Wait, that's just called gotchas. Oh, secretly a gotcha. But I think what the actual idea is find go to like a Discord like something with like a bunch of like normal Touhou players, like players who play on like normal or something. They're like, oh man, I just got my like first Touhou like normal 1cc, right? And you have to show them two runs, like the TSO runs, and they have to rank your runs. On a scale like 0 to 10, boom, they rank your runs. You get like 5 of these guys, and they have to rank your runs. Well, yeah, it counts for 4 penalty score. Oh, actually, wait, I have an even better idea for rankings, right? I think keep a similar ranking score, but you allow like achievements, like a bonus checklist that will like help your score. Okay. So, for example, if in this game, if you like Peerless Wind God in the middle, you get like -2 on your like score. Require all players to play each game submitted with the same seed. Dude, give me your seed. It's me to recover. I had 1 good run today. 2 good runs today. You get bonus for taking hard runs. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like I said, like Peerless Wind God. You Peerless Wind God in the middle, boom. Like -2 score. Oh, you did this spell, bottom hug only, no focus. Boom, -0.5 score. Every safe spot, if you don't do the safe spot, like minus 0.2. It's impossible. Yeah, what if I call it free corn? Huh? What's your counter argument? You say popcorn's impossible? Yeah, but I just called it free corn. If you graze an attack, at least if you get like at least like 500 graze on this spell card, minus 0.2 to your score. Let's just start rewarding scoring strats. If you hit this score threshold, minus 0.3. Cinema. I mean, technically anything with a video is cinema, right? If you really think about it. Minus one score if you never go above 1 power. Just missed a cat's walk. Good thing I never ever went missed a cat's walk. Ooh-wee. Definitely never. I think if you play LOL K on normal for the clown piece, you should get like minus like 5 to your score, because clown piece normal is actually like the hardest thing in Touhou. Ooh, at the end of your run, you should be allowed to like if you want to take the bonus challenge, which is you have to do you follow up the run by immediately trying to do an EXNN in whatever respective game. And if you can do it, you get like minus 1.5 to your score. But if you miss a single time, you get like +2. So you gotta take like the ultimate gamble. Double Jeopardy? Yeah, exactly. Chicken Butt, you should probably get into Marissa A DDC runs. I think maybe that'd be perfect for you. I heard it's a pretty generous category. It also scores pretty well, so I think it's perfect for you for like TSO scoring. I think it'd be pretty smooth too. I think I've heard a lot of people call Kagero Kaga free. You survive, you do Marissa A. I don't necessarily have any immediate intention for DDC, but if I ever did, Rainbow B would probably be my go-to. Reimu B, well known for being 3. Reimu B does have one really good trait in DDC, and that is she is not Marissa A or Sakuya B. So 3 had your oneness with it. Literally 3. I can't believe he was allowed to beat you with a free run. Like we gotta get the TSO metrics up on this. Like all Okay, my alive, awake, alert, enthusiasticness is starting to drop, and my the fire in my veins is also beginning to drop. So, whoa, whoa, whoa! Why was that pressing up? I definitely was not pressing up on my keyboard. Maybe I bumped it. I must have stuck or something. Let's see here. Where's your good runs? They were before you showed up. Like, I had, like, 2, like solid runs. And then, like, you showed up, and then it was bad. Keep revealing I can't. I should probably ban you from my chat for the way you just spelled I can't. Like, that is, like, criminal offense in, like, 4 different ways. What is that? 1, 2, 3? No, 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways, and like if it's like one way, it's like tolerable, but like 4 different ways should probably be a criminal offense. Favorite keyboard player? Oh, what are you, a cunt roller player? Can't believe you're playing a controller. Next thing you're gonna tell me is that you're French. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that on stream. That's too slanderous. I'm sorry. I take that back. I like needlessly. Do I say yes? Preach, brother. We will rule this world. We will rule Gensokyo one of these days. The power of freedom will destroy all of Gensokyo. Take over. I do love it's one of my favorite things in all Touhou for shot types and like just like whether or not you use controller or keyboard is going out of your way to completely worthlessly, for no reason whatsoever, arguing that one is better, which is completely subjective. Especially between, like, controller and keyboard. Actually, like, you shouldn't, like, this, like, you should use this. Not what you're used to. No. No, controller way better than keyboard, my guy. Oh my gosh, dude, it's unbelievable. It's like, ultimately, I will always say, like, whatever shot type you use, like, you know, play whatever you want to fucking use it. Like, who cares? Like, also, difficulty-wise, like, play a normal if you want to play a normal. There's no shame in it. But then, like, after I say that, I'll be like, bruh, if you use this, like, shot type, you're actually, like, just a terrible human, and you should probably be in prison. You use controller, dude? Send that ass to the slammer. Holy shit, dude. Needle players, send them. We need to have a purge, and like the test is like there needs to be like a system test, and it's like if you like pick the wrong shot type in a Touhou game, boom. This is how we do our natural selection. Yeah, this is the next natural selection idea. You pick shot type, and if you pick like certain shots, boom, just immediate like removed from society. Totally. No respect for SA Ray A players. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this we need to promote toxicity, especially because Alan's not here. He does that a lot. He's a really toxic player, dude. Holy moly, we gotta promote this all over the place. What? You're using that? Wow, that's effectively like playing on easy mode, dude. Wow. DJ and the controller players are objectively better. Okay, buddy. I also like to play my game by jerking off my control stick. Oh, yeah. Yeah, jerk off that control stick more. Yeah. Sorry, Alan slander. He knows that I do it because it's a complete meme, okay? Like, Alan is probably, like, what, as long as Sinman's not around, like probably the nicest Touhou player I've ever seen. So, like, I'll get him on, like, he's, like, probably, like, one of the most anti-toxic people on, like, the Touhou market. So, like, I'll, like, literally give a shit about it. Joke about Alan being... He enjoys it when I make jokes about this. Like, he'll... Like, I will make it to his face and he'll laugh. Like, the only reason I do it to Alan, not crazy, is I only see Pokemon once in a while. Well, like, Alan I see very regularly, so I'm more than willing to joke around. Like, I keep my Alan jokes like low when he's not around. When he's around, I'll actively poke and prod more, but that's generally true with most people. When they're around, I'm a lot more willing to poke and prod. To provoke talking shit about people behind their backs. So true. Preach. Listen, I've sat here and genuinely thought many times about how the term free is meaningless and worthless in the Touhou scene. And if you call something free, you're just like brain dead usually. And now that I also said that, dude, there's nothing to the rush of capturing Peerless like Free God, and then just immediately I'd be like, dude, this attack is so fucking free, dude. Holy shit. There's just something to it. With a rush. Oops. Freeze me, that's what people don't like though. I try my hardest to make sure that if I say free, it's like especially on the internet. Like, I have a bit of advantage, like, talking, it's generally easier to try to make sure something comes off as sarcastic. And, like, people interpret things however they do. You don't control how other people interpret things. So at the end of the day, if someone interprets it, like, differently, you know, that's just how they do it, and I don't really care, because it's not my problem how they interpret it, but I do try to make sure that like, stuff like that, that it's coming across sarcastic when I say free. Because there are people I've seen say free, like, genuinely, like, that, like, come across very unironically and very genuine. And that's the type of thing that when I see that, I'm like, this is why I hate humans. Genuinely, I do mean that part. Like, there's a reason I tend to... Like, I engage with people here, and I tend to not engage with people really outside of, like, I tend to, like, not dabble too much in the Touhou scene outside of here. Because, like, I'll get to that part in, like, my week, in, like, my month, maybe, where I'm like, you know what, maybe people aren't that bad. And then I'll just see something that makes me, like, right. Like, I'll always say, you know, half joking, but also half truthfully, it's like, one of my biggest motivators in life, and Touhou specifically, is spite. It's the second biggest driving factor for why I always use homing. Or, more importantly, it's one of the biggest detractors as to why I've never wanted to switch. Nothing fuels me more. Okay, it is late for me to be playing, though. My energy levels are... I spend up all my energy, like, when I start. Like, I was so fired up. I spent all my energy, like, quickly. And I've burnt out my energy for the day. It is Minariko over, I swear. Oh, why would you do that to me, Bumper? I love Bumper. It's a very, very well-designed spell. Biggest drive factor is making up a guy your mind is a sexual predator and always slightly better than you and you need to beat him. See, my biggest motivators for, like, everything I do, as well as with Touhou specifically, of course, because the second category goes there, is A, wanting to be the best I can be at it. Not the best ever, but, like, the best, like, trying to be as good as I can be. B, my love of Touhou as a broad. And C, spite and vengeance. Call me Mimo the way I be a vengeful spirit. There are too many Touhou runs I want to do solely out of spite. It's hard to keep up, because I actually have to, like, beat these runs. Meanwhile, Minariko keeps bending me over and spanking me in front of the whole class. It's unbelievable. I'm not into it either, which sucks. Like, if I liked getting spanked, it'd be easy. Oop. Oop. Oop, bumper. We love bumper. Bumper's really cool. Should I have consumed all that sugar I did earlier? Probably not. Did I? Absolutely. Wait, Friday is usually my late stream, which means my least European friendly stream. So you know what? Western supremacy. We got promote. Turn up. Fucked up a nap. What do you mean? What do you mean you fucked up a nap? You took a nap at the wrong time? Or is this one of those moments where you were like, I'll take like a half-hour nap. 3 hours later, you wake up in a daze. Yes, move. God, man, it was 30 minutes. My B. My problem is I don't necessarily have much, like, really time to take a nap. I mean, I do on the weekends, but, like, on the weekends I don't need to take a nap. So, like, a problem is, like, this week, if I fuck up my sleep schedule early, it's kind of hard to recover it unless, like, until the end of the week. That's the nice thing about tonight is because I'm gonna be up late, which is like annoying, and I'm already tired at the end of the week. But I wake up tomorrow and it's great. What'll happen is like my body will wake me up early, even if I don't get like a ton of sleep, and be like, "Hey, it's time for work." I'll look at the clock and be like, "I don't have to work," and then I'll just go back to sleep. Dude, me on my way to do every bad Ogane line, you know I'm cooked when this is happening. You know what? I'm gonna go take one more pee break, get some water, and then I'll do like a few more before I call her. I am back. Who'd have thunk it to me again? Imagine someone comes back and it's not actually me. Or, better yet, I come back, but I put on like like one of those voice changers, voice modifiers. Make me sound like a girl, and then I get like a VTuber like model. I should get a Raymu VTuber model, but it's like the biggest tits you've ever seen. That'll make me popular, right? Putting big tits on Raymu is a sin. Technically, some might argue it's a sin regardless, because what sins are, but... Oh, really? Draws your favorite character with massive boobs. How do you like it now? Remember, guys, always route your stage 2s in ways that makes them arbitrarily harder just so you can score more. Very important to your runs. Actually, if you delay that item pickup, you get more score. Never thought about that, but that is interesting. This D160 re-died 8 times. What'd you die to, books? USD's tricky, even at the 1cc, although most Most Touhou games tend to be hard, one would argue. What difficulty do you play on Zebra? I'm sorry, Zebra. Drop Sakia one. I have done that before. Sometimes when it doesn't matter, sometimes when it matters. I especially had this issue. I remember grinding the 1cc in PCB, where I would because there's a life drop after Bunraku, Maiden's Bunraku, Alice mid spell, but like it kind of like goes straight from Bunraku into like a lot of bullets, and I'd have this issue at times when I remember during the 1cc where I would struggle to get that bonus life. It's always in like an awkward position. Stage 3 is pretty sure is impossible. It's a rough one because like, why did I go for that line? What is wrong with me? Clearly, I'm just Giga Chad enough to be like, nah, I dodge. Like that's one of those situations where, especially when I was grinding the Lunatic 1cc, where being homing just like makes your life a lot easier because you really have to route that one off, like out, especially if you're not playing as homing. Like even if you're homing, you still kind of have to do some routing, but not as homing. It's a route. And that's not something that like you do a lot on 1cc's. Like unless you're like really tryhardy. But PCB Stage 3 is relatively smooth as long as you don't let it get out of control. But, like, it's really easy to let it get out of control. Anything else you might need it? Yeah. Like, I've accidentally missed the Sinai life drop in this game on runs, but, like, I think I missed it like once when I was like where I was like, really struggling for like low miss LNB or high miss LNBs, I guess is the term. Like around when I got like my first LNB in this, I had like a run with like a miss Sinai life that was relevant, but oops. This is why Reimu B in Subterranean is actually the best. Dude, the ability to pick up everything on screen is such a great ability. Dude, holy shit. Goes hella underappreciated, that ability. Even on the LNN, just ease of mind of just whoop, let go of every button, pick up everything real quick. Absolute hard carry go. Oh, what? You want the ability to walk through walls as Yukari? Dude, just the satisfaction just picking everything up at once. It's so beautiful. Oh, you just beat the attack and there's a life piece? Boop. Oh, you picked up the life piece. You just sucked it. Just suck in the life piece. He's literally just your bot. I know. It's what makes the LNN of her so good. Oh, I picked up. Oh, you know what? I lost all that faith on purpose, so I'd have this faith right here. Tactical. The Virgin. No, I need to learn every attack so I can do a perfect run and never have to bomb or anything. Versus the Chad. Oh, what? This attack is hard? Bombs. Oop. Seems that button where you can just skip things. Dude. It's crazy when people play USD and be like, damn, dude, books is so hard. If only I had a way to get through books easier. The X button. Allow me to introduce myself. The books after Bob. Yeah, yeah, that was one of the worst things about doing the 1cc is that sunk cost fallacy where it's like you already bombed to something, but like you're like about to die to it afterwards again. Dude, that was one of the most miserable moments. Bruh, mash bot! Mash bot! You know, one thing that you take for granted when playing no bomb runs, with, like, talking about characters, is just how dog shit some bombs are. Like, there are a number of bombs that are pretty consistent and pretty solid. There are some bombs on characters that are just so bad. Obviously, like, Mystic Square, every bomb is just, like, a pure pile of dog shit, but, like, there's some bombs that just make you question, like, there are some spells like Bumper Crop that make you question design choices. Okay, Hina, one more for the road. Touhou players after they've arbitrarily moved everything made to help them in the video game. Dude, this game is so difficult. It's so wild, dude. I think we need to start ranking, I think Touhou players need to start ranking the games based on, not based on difficulty, but based on, how hot the Touhou characters are. So, like, which game has, like, the hottest Touhou characters on average. You might way to do bad lines on Ogane. You've been doing all log base. Takes place in hell, so it'd probably win. I don't know. I think I think SA just doesn't like if you look like, come on, like Yukari kind of bad though. Okay, like Yukari and Ron kind of bad. Like PCB gets some notches up there. The fair proportion that will do the character the hotter. Well, past a certain point, right? Like, you know, no one cares about orange. Old hell or new hell hotter? Well, if you ask a lot of the fans, new hell, because Hikari is there, and whoo-wee, dude, you know, Hikari gets some people pretty fired up, if you know what I'm saying, like pretty hot and bothered, pretty fiery, you know. Hisami's there too, and the Hisami has a niche portion of people who are, you know, pretty like that type of thing. Okay, that's good. Good for now. I had some good runs early. Where the Beast Stage 4 is also hell. Isn't like most, like a lot of widely, or at least some widely beasts supposed to take place around there?